You want to understand how Islam starts creeping its way into local governments, state governments, federal governments? Slowly and methodically. Baby steps. So slow and incremental, you might not even realize that it's happening. We'll continue that mindset at your own peril because there are several dark horses here in the state of Texas looking to bring Islam right here in the Texas legislature. I'm going to tell you who and what they're doing. Welcome back to Come and Take It. Those of you who have been with us for a while, Happy New Year. I am so glad to be joining you for another year, especially as we enter primary season. There's a lot going on, and I appreciate all of you still being with me. Now, for those of you who may not be aware, maybe you just, you pay attention to Republican politics, but you don't so much pay attention to what is happening on the other side. I want to introduce you to two Texas state representatives that I believe, if you would like to fight the Islamification of Texas, if you would like to fight the Islamification of this country, you need to be paying attention to these people because they will give you an idea of what the mindset is of people who wish to bring Islam into this country and into the state of Texas. This is Suleman Lalani and Salman Bhojani. Now, both of these gentlemen, and I use that term very loosely, are Pakistani-born Democrats. So they're not even from here, okay? They were both born in Pakistan. They were both, by the way, sworn in as Texas House representatives with the Quran, which, in my opinion, shouldn't be allowed. And they're both attempting to implement Islamic laws, values, morals, principles, honor into our state.
How about new?
Whether it's planting the seed, I'm going to go through just some of these. Okay, just some of them. I'm going to go through some of these, whether it's just simply planting a seed or trying and attempting to go much further. They are both doing it. They're both running again for re-election in the Democrat primaries. And I just want to make you aware, we need to be watching what these guys are doing. We need to be watching what bills they're authoring, what bills they're co-sponsoring, what their priorities are, because that will give us an idea of where they're headed. I want to show you what they just both did and attempted to do in the last legislative session. And by the way, I just want to give a quick shout out to Amy Meck over at the Rare Foundation. A lot of the exposés that I do on what is happening with the Islamification of the state of Texas comes from a lot of what Amy is doing over there. And I want to help her get the message out. So make sure to follow the Rare Foundation, RAIR Foundation for more. They're doing great work over there trying to expose this stuff. I'm just trying to be a microphone for that and get it out to more people. So let's go to Suleman Lalani. Let's visit a couple of the bills, a couple of the resolutions that Lalani put forth. H.R. 32 was recognizing Pakistan Day at the Capitol. Now, again, it's a resolution. It's very informal. You might say, well, it doesn't really mean much. Well, actually it does. Actually, it does that the Republicans in the state of Texas would go along with this. Actually, it does. Because this is not about freedom of religion. This is not about, it just means a lot to him. You know what? It means a lot to me too. You know why? Because Pakistan is a Muslim country. It's majority Muslim. They have Islam as the official state religion. And they actually have this hybrid form of government where it does involve some aspects of Sharia law. You cannot actually create a law that is anti-Islam. You're not allowed to do that. And in Pakistan, let me give you an idea of the culture, because I realize we're all Americans, we're all Texans. We don't, it's like we don't really pay attention to stuff like this because we are so privileged to live in this state and live in this country that maybe you're not so mindful of what is happening in Pakistan. Okay. In Pakistan, sex outside of marriage is illegal. The punishment for that particular offense ranges from up to 5 years in prison for minors to 100 lashes for unmarried adults, it could be as severe as stoning to death for married adults. So if you participate in sex outside of marriage and you are already married, you are, of course, committing adultery. And you could be sentenced to stoning to death over in Pakistan. And because the majority of citizens believe in Islam and Sharia law, including law enforcement, there's actually a lot of things that happen that are technically illegal, but they just kind of cover their eyes and let it happen.
I didn't see anything.
One of which are honor killings. Okay, so honor killings in Pakistan, technically considered murder, but society doesn't mind it too much at all, as it turns out. Their culture dictates that if someone, is usually women, this is the majority of people who have honor killings committed against them, they're killed in an honor killing, are women. If someone, typically a woman, is involved in an affair, a male family member must murder. It's like you have to murder them or she'll bring dishonor to the family. So you have to murder this woman who's committed adultery. If you don't want your family to be dishonored, the male family member kills her. By the way, child marriage, fine in Pakistan. Okay, so I want to read to you some of the 2024 Human Rights Report from the Human Rights Commission of Pakistan. They said in the Global Gender Gap Report for 2024, Pakistan was ranked 145th out of 146 countries. That's not good. That's not the number you want to be. You actually want to be. So you want to be higher on that. Data from the National Police Bureau indicates that at least 405 women fell victim to honor crimes during the year. Domestic violence accounted for at least 1,641 cases of murder and 3,385 cases of beating. That's what the culture's like over in Pakistan. Let me give you another one from this report. A Christian man in Sargodha was badly beaten by a mob following accusations of blasphemy and succumbed to his injuries several days later, so he was killed. Reports suggest that the mob was mobilized through local mosques. Can't be Christian there. You can't say anything. You better not say anything bad about Allah or Muhammad, else you get killed in Pakistan. And acid attacks are also like a thing there, of regular occurrence. Although acid attacks increased throughout Punjab during the year, the Punjab Acid Control Bill remained unpassed. By the way, journalists are like mysteriously killed. If you criticize the government, if you criticize any of the leaders, you might just mysteriously end up unalived.
Who knows what could happen?
Also, you're not allowed to protest the government. If you're a citizen and you protest the government, you may actually just poof, disappear. They call those, I believe, enforced disappearances. That's a thing in Pakistan. Domestic violence, obviously, I just mentioned, pretty high over in Pakistan. They said later in the report, honor killings continue unabated, with some perpetrators attempting to disguise these acts as suicides. Let me give you a table. Violence against women in Punjab in 2024, not that long ago, okay? 2024, female victims, acid crimes 30. Domestic violence, murder, 1,167. Domestic violence beating, 2,767. Honor killing, 178. Rape, sexual assault, 3,533. Gang rape, 639. Incest, 115. You get the idea, right? So hearing what the culture in Pakistan is all about, hearing what it's like in this Islamic state, the Islamic State of Pakistan, are those any of the values that I just mentioned, are any of those values that you align with?
Absolutely not.
I'm guessing the answer is no. So why did the Texas House honor Pakistanis on Pakistan Day? Why did that happen? What is the honor? What is the resolution to celebrate that, to recognize it? What is the resolution? If not to stand idly by and say, we accept this, we support this. Every single Republican, and by the way, sane Democrats, this actually should be a bipartisan issue. Every single Republican and sane Democrats, the party who claims that they care about women, the party who claims that Republicans want to take us back to the Handmaid's Tale, that same party refuses to condemn Islam when it comes to all of the violence perpetrated against women. They have nothing to say. They just want to honor it. Democrats and a large handful of Republicans as well. Now, let me give you something from Bhojani. By the way, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I don't actually care. Bangladeshi Day at the Capitol. It's another one. We have Pakistan. We got to have Bangladeshi Day. You can't leave out the Bangladeshis, right? Lest they be so upset. Now, in Bangladesh, again, let me just give you just a little bit of a lesson. Bangladesh, Islam, once again, is the official state religion. Let me give you another report from 2024, their own human rights report. This one comes from our government. Significant human rights issues, primarily under the previous government, included credible reports of arbitrary or unlawful killings, disappearances, that's another enforced disappearances, torture or cruel, inhumane, or degrading treatment or punishment, arbitrary arrest or detention, transnational repression against individuals in another country by the previous government, serious restrictions on freedom of expression and media freedom, including violence or threats of violence against journalists, unjustified arrests or prosecutions of journalists and censorship, significant restrictions on workers' freedom of association, violence or threats against labor activists or union members, and significant presence of the worst forms of child labor. By the way, the UN Population Fund 2024 report assessed 51% of girls married before the age of 18 over in Bangladesh. Child marriage, once again. Isn't it crazy? Isn't that weird that you go to all of these Muslim countries, you talk about all of these countries where Islam is the official state religion, and it's all like child marriages and violence against women and beatings and gang rapes. It's almost like that's part of their culture. Because it is. It is. High rates of child marriage resulted in girls leaving school at a higher rate than boys. The government's own statistics were lower, but still high, that in March, the Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics reported the number of early marriages involving girls younger than 15 increased from 6.5% in 2022 to 8.2% in 2023. And for those younger than 18, the rate was 41.6% in 2023. And then, of course, it went up from there. Once again, I would ask you, does that sound like something to celebrate here in the state of Texas? We did. Again, you could say it's just a simple resolution. It doesn't actually. How much does it actually matter? It matters a lot. Because with everything relating to this religion, to this culture, this is a culture of violence, of sexual perversion, of child trafficking, child labor, child exploitation, abuse. We should stand strong on this. I don't care if it's just words. It would be as easy as it is to just say, oh, it's totally fine. It would be just as easy to say no. It is that easy. If it's just words, then just say no. Because those words that you think are just words are actually showing the other side that they can keep pushing, that they can keep going down the road, that they can see just how much they can get away with. How much are you going to feel so bad about being called a mean name that you are willing to go along with? That's what it's showing them. Every single resolution that they get through, that's what it's showing them. And I want to show you just how gross this all is. I want to give you a little post from Salman Bhojani's Instagram, where he posted that he's like speaking at some panel discussion, the rise of Christian nationalism and its danger to our democracy. Ooh, Christian nationalism. And he said Christian nationalism erodes religious freedom for all. So the guy who was born in Pakistan, this Muslim from Pakistan who wants us here in the state of Texas to honor Islamic states where honor killings, child marriage, and by the way, female genital mutilation is part of the culture over there where he's from and he wants to honor, is here to lecture you on Christianity, is here to lecture you about being a Christian nation. Like, you could not make this up if you tried. The guy who wants to honor Islam and all of its perversions and all of its oppression against children and women want to tell you what a danger being a Christian nation is to our democracy.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
That is absolutely ghoulish. That is evil. Don't come to my country and lecture me. Don't come to my state and lecture me about a danger to our democracy. You know what a danger is to our democracy? Islam. Your little religion that you're trying to perpetrate and push forward here in the state of Texas, that you're trying to cram down our throats, that is the biggest danger to our democracy here in the state of Texas and here in this country. You don't get to come to my country and lecture me. This was founded as a Christian nation. Suck on it.
Boom. Roasted.
Between the two of them, these dark horses here in the Texas legislature, they were able to adopt resolutions in the Texas House recognizing Ramadan. Got to recognize all of the holy days, all of the holy months for Islam. Eid al-Fitr. I don't even know how to pronounce that. I don't care to. What I know is that it is an Islamic holy day. I don't like the fact that it's on my Apple calendar. Like my iPhone calendar automatically tells me when that is. I already don't like that. I definitely don't like it being recognized in my state. The Apple iPhone calendar, I'm willing to just like, okay, whatever. It's an iPhone. Everyone has it. My state, Texas, why are we recognizing that? Shouldn't happen.
What are the important things out there in Texas politics and Texas news that matter to you, and what can you do about it? That's what we want to bring you with the Luke Macias Show on a weekly basis for 20 to 30 minutes. That way you can get the information and go do something for the rest of your week. I look forward to coming to you every Wednesday.
Now, for these, like a good handful, the good guys, the Texas Avengers, I like to call them, a good handful of the actual conservatives in the legislature voted no. But in the Republican state of Texas, sorry, I need to use my air quotes for that. In the Republican state of Texas, with a Republican majority, the resolutions were adopted. Those resolutions were adopted. No problem. No problem. Why? Well, because we have weak Republicans who are scared that someone might call them a mean name. We have weak Republicans who, I mean, let's face it, the Speaker of the House was elected by a Democrat majority. That's the kind of Republicans we have here in the state of Texas. They're too scared. But what if someone calls them mean? What if someone calls them xenophobic? Then they might go to the corner and cry. Those are the Republicans that we're dealing with here in the state of Texas. Now, let me tell you where these dark horses intend to take this. Because if you look, past behavior is the best predictor for future behavior, right? If you look at what they've already tried to cram in, you will see where they are trying to go. Let's see what they didn't get through, but they tried. Halal food programs for school lunches. Yes, we should definitely have halal. I mean, you don't want to single out the Muslims. They need halal food options for lunch programs and breakfast programs for schools. Now, by the way, I fully advocate for banning halal food in the state of Texas. We need to do that like yesterday. We need to do that next session. It is cruel. It is very cruel to the animal. And we should ban it. And a lot of this problem goes away. If we don't make it so comfortable for them to come set up shop here, they will go somewhere else. My preference is that they're not even here in this country. But if I can keep them out of my state, I'm going to do that. They also wanted to designate May as Muslim Heritage Month for a 10-year period. So from 2025 to 2035. Again, they didn't get this through. It just kind of died in committee, I believe, but this is telling you where they'd like to go with this. Designating March 15th as the day to combat Islamophobia for a 10-year period ending in 2035. Once again, combat Islamophobia. What does that mean? Combat Islam. You've got a day to combat Islamophobia. Oh, okay. So you have a criticism of Islam. You're just Islamophobic. Now, once you do designate that day, how long before there are penalties in this state for criticizing Islam. That's Islamophobic. That's Islamophobe. You know what? We better penalize people for doing that. I mean, how long? Again, this is all very progressive. This is all stair-stepped in. You think it happened overnight in the UK? It didn't. You think it's going to happen overnight here? Of course not. They don't want to cause any alarm. They don't want any panic. They want to do it quietly, in small intervals, until they get where they'd like to be. We all know where that is. Now, if you don't want to listen to me sound the alarm, if you don't want to listen to me sound the alarm about Islam systematically and intentionally infiltrating to implement their agenda in this country and in the state of Texas, I would just ask you, please, for the love of God, listen to them straight from the horse's mouth.
Now it's getting through Congress. So before it was by the sword, now it's getting themselves into Parliament and then making laws that act as the sword, the Islamophobia law in Canada, M103.
Yeah.
Muslim Brotherhood.
I find that there are only two things which are open to our movements. Ballot or bullet, nothing in between.
I used to say that democracy is haram. Now I say participation in democracy is our jihad. That's our jihad. We're going to fight not through the bullets, but the ballot.
Going to the ballot and voting is now an obligatory action, fard ayn. And it is a jihad that is now needs to be done because this is our modern jihad. You can elect a person who wants the Sharia.
Because in the United States, what we do know is that in the past election, just this last election, there have been over 800 Muslim candidates running for office.
We may end up with about 50 members of Congress in the next 6 years. That's really the essence of dismantling the system of injustice, is to replace it with the people who represent the Prophet ﷺ.
Elect someone who wants to enact Sharia. Look at how many Muslims we're going to have in Congress. Then we can work together to eventually conquer and enact Sharia. They're saying all of these quiet parts out loud. Ignore them at your own peril. That's what I'm saying. By the way, one of those men is one of the leaders at EPIC, East Plano Islamic Center. That is the mosque that is behind the big EPIC City, the all-inclusive Muslim compound that they want to build. That's one of their leaders. That's the goal, guys. Ignore it at your own peril. This is something to keep an eye on as we move into the primaries. Who do you trust to battle this? Who do you trust to fight this off? Who do you trust to make this state the most unfriendly to Islam in the entire country? That is something you need to think about. This is the biggest threat facing our country. Texas needs to lead the way on this. All right, you guys make sure that you are subscribed. Of course, join us on YouTube, Sara Gonzales Unfiltered, but make sure that you follow the Come and Take It playlist. This is where we have all of these. If you guys are new, you're just joining us. Hi, welcome. This is the playlist where we go through what is happening in the state of Texas. I'll bring it to you approximately once a week on Tuesdays at 12 Central. And, you know, like I said at the beginning, we're moving into primary season. It's going to get very, very crazy, very, very fast. And I'm very excited to go through all of this with you guys. Make sure that you smash the like button and comment. It'll help us out in the algorithm, which we all know is stacked against us. And stay tuned. I'm sure there's going to be more to come next week. We will see you next time on Come and Take It.